Man. Let's see what the Conservative Hypehouse has to say. They posted a TikTok, which they now deleted, talking about the fact that they have a YouTube channel. He said that this lovely gentleman claimed that he had to relearn how to use Premiere Pro to film it. So I will be judging his editing skills. That's dumb of him. I make YouTube videos without having to do any editing because why do more work when little work do job? Why use many words when few words do trick? Damn. Everyone wish Nadia luck on her moving schools too. That's challenging. I wish you the best. I wish you the best. All right. Let's get into it. Please tell me if the audio is balanced or not. Wow, that's so loud. Already, just shut up. Please. Oh my god. Can I even play this music? Is this music copyrighted? Actually, no, it's probably not because I have it. Conservative Hypehouse, be on the right side of history. Last I checked, the Conservative Party has never been on the right side of history, like not even once. So it's just a complaint I have with their marketing. That's false advertisement. The Enlightenment, you know, that was progressive. Yeah, I can't think of a single time. Our ideas suck.
People have been wanting me to talk about Portland, so I figured I would make it into my first.
Also, his mic, his pop cover, this right here, is supposed to be going in front of the mic. So I don't know what purpose this is serving. I also don't know why the mic is behind. It looks like the mic is behind him. And I want to say he's just using his headphone mic. I don't know. Yeah, the mic pop, like what I have right here, is supposed to go there. So when I say stuff like Peter Piper picked, it doesn't blow out the audio every time I say a P. Another thing, this logo is so big. I hope it doesn't stay there the entire time. And I'm so distracted by his like the orange and this brown and the blue over here and his like black, looks like a black suit, which is also not a great look. He's too close to the camera. Those are my initial thoughts. I'm strictly judging the aesthetic right now. I'm assuming this is Make America Great 2020. Can't see all of it. What's this? You're covering your little flag that's like sticking out with that Bruins with your giant ass logo. L. This is also, is it like I think I'm watching this in 1080p and
First YouTube.
he is very not good quality, very bad quality. I'm also so confused by his microphone. What's this doing and why is it behind him?
Video. What is happening in Portland? There is a federal courthouse that is under siege by Black Lives Matter protesters.
Okay, first of all, no. It's not under siege by Black Lives Matter protest. Man, I have all these tweets on my phone. Let me just see if I can find them. That just kind of run over what's happening from people who are actually in Portland. Man, it's like under siege. There's, I think the DHS, like, they had a picture of the complaints and like the reasons that they are putting federal troops there, And the statements that they put out are, I have them here. They're on my phone. I don't know. I wish they were on my computer so I could share them with you. Violent anarchist graffitied. It's just like $5,000 worth of damage in graffiti to the courthouse. I would not qualify that as a siege. A siege, the definition of a siege. The siege is to starve an enemy of resources so they are forced to give up. And since when we used to like siege castles, we would block the supply chains and like wars of attrition. I think that's the definition. A lot of people say the Civil War was a war of attrition because it was just like who could outlast who. When it came down to supplies, that's a big reason why the North won, is because we had the manufacturing available to us to create weapons, to transport goods, because we had a much more extensive railway network. A lot of historians credit the Union win to railways. So that, because of that, we were able to starve out our enemies in the South. Ali, happy birthday. You're not late, by the way. We just started. You can like go back because it's YouTube. I was just making fun of his hair. Also, I started half an hour earlier than I said I would. So you're not late at all. Yeah, so this is a gross misrepresentation of what's happening. It was literally just graffiti. Courthouse. And the DHS, yeah, this is why they were sent. That's the justification that the White House has stated for this. This is not a siege in any way, shape, or form. The fucking CHOP was technically more of a siege of the police precinct than what's happening in Portland. But anyways, what else does he? Also, it's important to point out that it was 50 days of relatively overall peaceful protests. When I say relatively, I mean I can't account for the actions of every individual in the protest, but the majority of the protests and the groups were peaceful. And if they weren't peaceful, they would have been on the news. You know? That's a pretty good way to figure out if it's peaceful or not. If it's not peaceful, people talk about it because it makes good media.
Violent Black Lives Matter protest.
No.
Courthouse that is under siege by Black Lives Matter protesters. Violent Black Lives Matter protesters. And yes, they are violent.
No, they're not. They're not. Maybe one or two have thrown rocks, right? Like, that's not... This is just what you get when you watch Fox News 24/7. I don't know why I keep leaving full screen. They're not violent. They haven't been violent in a very, very long time. The stories you hear about, like, protesters shooting babies in strollers have all been debunked as people not involved with the protest. I know that everyone who supports Black Lives Matter will denounce any affiliation with violence. So claiming that saying they're violent, yes, they are violent, is a gross misrepresentation of what's actually happening in the streets. Not like he would know. He hasn't been to a protest ever. He only sees what's on Fox News and what's in his little echo chamber on Twitter.
They claim federal troops are being deployed.
You can't air quote troops, that's what they are.
To quell these protests. Partially true. They are not troops. They are officers of the law.
Federal troops versus officers of the law. Like, what am I? like also he's getting so caught up in the optics and creating very bad optics. So these are like if they're armed in full protective gear with no identification, I don't know what the fuck they are. Honestly, he could be right. They could be just a bunch of right-wing militias but that's the danger. People wouldn't know. That's why they need to identify themselves. So he's starting off this argument by doubling down on the notion that Black Lives Matter is violent by nature, and that the federal troops that have been sent out are not actually troops. They are just federal officers. I'd love to hear his
Federal agent.
Federal agents and definitions. Please, let me see if there's sources. Not a single source. Not even a fucking, just like boop. Not even a description. Dude, where are your sources? What's your definition of a federal agent and a federal troop?
Agents. They're from organizations like ATF, the Secret Service, ICE, not the military.
DHS, Department of Homeland Security. So his definition of troop is like if they are in the military. Difference between are DHS officers considered troops? I feel like I'm wasting time. This is not even a good point to argue. It has nothing to do with it because DHS.gov. This is my source. I would love to see yours. States and Immigration Services. It's not giving me definitions. Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, United States Immigration and Customs, ICE. All right. No matter what the fuck you say, troops or agents or officers or whatever, the point still stands that these people who are armed in camouflage, wearing masks, who are not identifying themselves, work for the federal government. They are under the arm of the federal government, of the DOJ, and of Donald Trump. So regardless of the definition that he wants to go with, they're still a massive threat because they are gross. They're an example of gross government overreach, which should be very concerning to conservatives. This is a great example of one of the fallacies. God, man, my terms and definitions are not good. But just like trying to draw attention. Is this a straw man? Like he wants, if I was debating him, he'd want me, I would be wasting time debating the definition of troops versus the officers, right? But like you also have a military officer, right? Like it's a waste of time to even get into it. I've spent too much time talking about this. He would be winning because I would be desperately looking for definitions of troops and officers. So if you're in a debate with someone and this is a talking point they bring up, it's fucking irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what their definition is. It matters what they're doing. And what they're doing is black bagging protesters, putting them into cars. Also, their only jurisdiction is strictly on the courthouses and the federal property. And more recently, they have been sticking there. That's why they've barricaded themselves into the courthouses. But the videos of the kidnappings and of them marching down the street take place outside of their jurisdiction. But the DOJ argues that no, it does not take place outside their jurisdiction because of the fact that Department of Homeland Security the Department of Homeland Security has jurisdiction to arrest people within 100 miles of any point of entry of America, which is literally all of Florida and like all of like Michigan and the Northeast, and almost every major city is near a point of entry to the US. So that's they're arguing two jurisdictions. The fact that they are within 100 miles of a port. Yeah, strawman is when they bring up an argument you never make. You're right. Thank you. And then their other claim for jurisdiction is that they're protecting federal property. But once they start making arrests, which they cannot do outside of federal property, they are violating the Constitution.
Now, they also say it is unlawful for these troops to be present in cities like Portland or Chicago. This is not true. Under 40 U.S. Code 1315, federal agents have the right to be in cities to defend federal property or pursue federal investigations.
Yeah, so they do have the right to defend this and only this. It's only like a few courthouses. I'd recommend, if you guys want to know more. Yeah, blackbagging is like they kidnap someone, they take a picture of their ID, and then they just release them back out without like writing anything down in a record, just so they have the name of that protester. And that's scary when a state is falling into fascism, because there's steps to total authoritarianism. It doesn't just happen like one day we're all under like the boot of the fucking Gestapo. It goes in steps, and picking up protesters, taking pictures of their ID and releasing them back out is one of the steps before that. That's a bad sign, So the DHS can only, quote, defend this. That's not what they're doing, because they've made the problem much, much worse. Now there's a lot more people outside protesting. If you didn't want more protesters, there's a man. What's that? There's a document, a manual written by the military that talks about how to deal with civil unrest like this. More specifically, talks about insurgencies in other countries and how to handle those. And their rule of thumb essentially is, if the government oversteps in any way, support will be made for the people. And this is exactly what happened in Portland. The protests in Portland were small, they were peaceful, they were being allowed to happen by the mayor. The mayor wasn't doing anything new, he wasn't implementing changes, he was just allowing them to protest, because at the end of the day, it didn't get in the way of anyone, it wasn't causing disruption. But the Trump's administration used the graffiti as a excuse to send in his federal agents or troops, or whatever definition you like to go with. Yeah, why Ali, I was talking about before. He looks so bad right now with this setup. The half of this flag is out of frame. You don't even know what it says. This flag is covered by this. This looks awful. The brown curtains over next to his orange and black gaming chair. The mic filter that's not even covering the microphone, or the pop filter. Pathetic, my guy. Anyways, what did he say again?
The right to be in cities to defend federal property.
So one of the great things about America is that our states also have rights. So they need permission from the states, from the governors, and from the mayors to be there. They don't necessarily need permission to protect federal property, but again, that's only an excuse for why they're acting that way, because there have been many, many accounts of officers leaving federal property to make, or I don't even want to consider them arrests, to make the kidnappings. So that's not what they're doing.
Or pursue federal investigations. The left claims that these agents are making unlawful arrests. This also is not true. Federal agents have the legal right and obligation to arrest people without the permission of local leaders.
Do you know what probable cause is? Have you guys heard about probable cause? So in America, you need probable cause to arrest someone. We have the idea in our Constitution that you are innocent till proven guilty. I don't remember what amendment that is. I think it's the Fourth Amendment. Yeah. Okay, the Constitution, through the Fourth Amendment, protects people from unreasonable searches and seizures by the government. The extent to which an individual is protected by the Fourth Amendment depends, in part, on their location, on the search or seizure. So this is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, but because we are in 100 miles of a coast, Department of Homeland Security can kind of skirt around that idea. That's why if you're like in a car traveling like from like coming in from Canada, where like marijuana is a lot more legal throughout Canada, and coming back to America, you don't, the probable cause to search your car is just the fact that you're entering from outside. That's why when we go through like customs, they'll like search your bag randomly. Like they won't, it's not always there isn't necessarily probable cause. Sometimes they'll just like pick people out of a crowd. They usually tend to be brown people, and then they'll just search the car. So that's what gives the DHS jurisdiction to do this. I hope he brings this up because it supports his point brilliantly. But when it comes to arrests, the problem here is that they're not arresting people, because an arrest requires an official to identify themselves, to bring the tell the person being arrested for what crimes are being arrested. That is one of our constitutional rights, protected by the Fourth Amendment. And furthermore, they have the right to an attorney, and their Miranda rights. The story that's most common right now is about the protester who was black bag, shoved in a van, driven around for a few hours, brought to a location that he did not know about, never told where he was brought to, asked if he would waive his right to an attorney to answer questions. He said no. They put him back in a van and just dropped him off in the middle of the streets. What's incredibly terrifying about that is that they are bypassing all of the regulations put in place that defend and that defends an individual's rights. Because personally, I would much rather be arrested by someone who I can identify, who I can look at in the face and know their name, and I would rather be driven to the police station than be able to call my mom and say, hey, I was arrested, be told why exactly I'm being arrested, and then also have the ability to not disclose any information without a lawyer present, or I would just like to have my rights read to me. I would much rather have that than be standing maybe in a hoodie with a mask on because I'm an onlooker or part of a protest that's not on federal property, being picked up by people in camouflage and who are armed, not telling me who they are, not giving me their name, then being driven around to a location that I don't know, being put in a room with no orientation of where I am or who I'm with or the level of danger that I'm in, and then being told that I should give up my rights to an attorney to answer a few questions. So that's why there is such an issue, and that is one of the many lawsuits against the Trump administration right now. It's on this account that they are being violated, that their Fourth Amendment right is being violated.
When they witness a felony level crime.
That's the thing. They're not. If they were arresting all the people who who they watched graffiti BLM on a federal courthouse and then arrested them, I'd be a little annoyed, but I would understand and I would realize that that is in fact constitutional. But a person wearing a black hoodie standing around walking home, there's no probable cause there besides very just straight up profiling.
Secretary of Homeland Security shall protect the buildings, grounds, and property that are owned, occupied, or secured by the federal government.
It's literally just a courthouse.
Federal agents the power to make arrests without a warrant for any offense against the United States at a felony level.
Half of this information is off the screen, so I can't read this entire side of the screen. While engaging in performance of official duties, an officer or agent designated under his subsection may enforce federal laws and regulations, the protection of persons and property, carry firearms, make arrests without a warrant, or any offense against the United States committed in the presence of an officer or agent with a felony. Yeah, reasonable grounds, dude. Reasonable grounds. The person arrested. If someone's walking around with 3 cans of spray paint, that I would consider that reasonable grounds. Serve warrants and subpoenas issued under the authority of the United States. All right, so that's what they're doing. That's why they said when the image that says violent anarchist graffitied federal building, they look at that and they count anyone who was around or involved in the protest as that. Conduct investigations, go and off the property in questions. Offenses that may have been committed. And carry out such other activities for the promotion of Homeland Security, the Secretary may prescribe. Yeah, so technically, my guy is not lying in that they have the protection under the federal government to do this. But just think about that. The federal government allows them to do this.
Another common myth. These officers are in unmarked uniforms.
They are.
And they drive unmarked vehicles.
This is not a common... This is just facts. This is just straight up factual. The majority of these people only have a sign that says police, from what I've seen. And they rent their cars from fucking Hertz.
Vehicles. I'm gonna throw an image up. Here are some federal Department of Homeland Security agents
Where is this?
in Portland whose uniforms
Is this in Portland? Can someone fact check that?
are clearly marked Police DHS, and in the background you can see their vehicles that are also marked Police.
Alright, and then... God, dude, I also have images. I also have pictures, bro. And this is what we're going on as evidence. Let me get my pictures. Hold the phone. Hold the phone, dude. Yo, I have so many pictures. I have some of the best pictures. Man, I'm so excited to show you my pictures. Wow. Yeah, I mean, dude, look at all these pictures. Look at them. Look at them in their police cars that say police. Oh, look, police. What department are you with? Do you know how easy it is to do that? Like that, this doesn't mean shit. This doesn't mean shit to anyone. I don't see a name, I don't see a badge. Like, if you're going by pictures, my guy, this is an easy game to play. Yikes, this is graphics, sorry guys. Yeah. Don't worry. If this lady can just be like, hey, it was Z26 who grabbed me by my backpack and shoved me back into a crowd, I would like him to get fired, please. So this is a stupid contention. Nice. It's not hard to find pictures. I'm pretty sure I have a lot more pictures than you do, if this is what we're basing our arguments off of. So 1 second video, very cool.
I'm a black woman. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Leave them alone. Leave them alone.
Only one with the real gun is the one that's going to
You are the threat.
Only one with the real gun is
You are the threat.
Yeah, so I don't know what his point is over here. Very cool. A few of them.
Even if officers were driving unmarked vehicles, I fail to understand why this is an issue.
Even if, all right, you fail to understand why this is an issue. Let me explain it to you, buddy boy. So, is this even important?
If officers,
I don't think this is in Portland. All right, even if officers were driving unmarked vans, which they are, this is not disputable. The issue with this is that I can also put on some camouflage, get a yellow sticker that says police, put on a gas mask, get a camo helmet, get in a van, and steal people. That's the issue. How can you say that you don't see the issue with people being dragged into unmarked vans? That's like the first thing we learn about, like, hey, don't get in like that white van. Don't get in that white van. Like, how can you? Okay, this isn't Portland actually. I see his sign. I don't know if this is from the most recent deployment of. Okay, never mind. You are stupid.
were driving unmarked vehicles.
Even if police were driving unmarked vehicles, I fail to see the issue. Wow, I hope this kid gets kidnapped just so we can figure out the issue with being dragged away in unmarked vans.
I fail to understand why this is an issue, why this is the bone you decide to pick.
It's not the bone, it's one of the many bones. These people are being dragged away to places no one knows where. The whereabouts of these people are 100% unknown the second they get into a van. And that van can join a group of cars and no one will know which is which. Why am I explaining to him that kidnapping is bad and scary? How fucking dumb are you?
It is well within the rights of federal agencies to drive unmarked vehicles.
Is it? Source. Yeah, okay, like undercover cop cars. But they're not going undercover right now. Federal 10 federal agents drive unmarked NPR is a good source. Yeah. Okay, let's read this. Exactly. Have you also look at how like white wing hate groups dress? They dress like fucking military men because they're so butthurt and so self-conscious and hate their lives that they just dress up in military. Like, it's very easy to do that than to drive a van around and kidnap people. Federal law enforcement officers have been using unmarked vehicles to drive around downtown Portland and detain protesters since last Tuesday. Personal accounts and multiple videos posted online show the drive. Yeah, I've seen all these videos. Like, this is not. It's beautiful. Okay, first of all, the U.S. Marshals declined to comment on the practice. They're not even trying to defend it. I don't know why you are. Chad Wolf. Fuck Chad Wolf. Yeah, they're not even trying to defend it. Wait, so if anyone can be kidnapped, then how do we know that people are being backed by the federal people? That's a problem. That's the issue. All the accounts we have so far, luckily, that we've heard about, are that people were detained by the feds and then released once they refused to waive their Miranda rights. Thank God. The ones we haven't heard about potentially could be people getting picked up by hate groups or any number of people with ill intent who are taking advantage of the unmarked feds and vehicles to literally just kidnap people. We'll pick them up in front of the courthouse. If we spot them elsewhere, we'll pick them up elsewhere. Yeah, unconstitutional. You don't have the jurisdiction. You have a question about someone's identity, like the first example I know to you. For questioning, determine it isn't someone of interest, then they get released. They get released once they refuse to waive their rights. That's not standard law enforcement procedure. There's no violence. Yeah, oh my God, they're so blind. There's not. I can't find the legality. I'm fairly certain they're. Spelled legally wrong. Nice. You can be pulled over by what is this? Fine law. This is from 2013, so is it not legal to dress up like an officer? Yeah, of course it's legal. It doesn't mean people are gonna not like listen to the law all of a sudden. It's illegal to impersonate a police officer, but these people aren't police officers. There's no difference between a guy dressed like this and a guy playing military. It's illegal to dress up as a police officer with a badge, and to act on behalf of the police. It's still illegal to kidnap people, if you're dressing up like these motherfuckers. That's not the issue. Even if it's illegal, doesn't mean it's like it's the problem solved. Except from the rules of other. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about the federal legality of this because this has never been done before.
These people are not just being thrown in the back of some unmarked vehicle.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. That's exactly what's happening.
Federal crimes.
No, they're not. No, they're not. You can't prove that. You cannot prove. Dude, innocent till proven guilty. You cannot prove that these people have committed federal crimes just because they're wearing a fucking hoodie and are around protesters. These people right here are not committing federal crimes. They're practicing their First Amendment right to congregate and to protest. This is just a right to assemble. They're also all wearing masks and being COVID conscious.
Just being thrown in the back of some unmarked vehicle and then disappearing. They're committing federal crimes and then being detained and arraigned for those crimes. This is how we treat any other criminal. There's only been 43
except these people aren't criminals.
Federal arrests in Portland since July 4th.
It's 43 too many.
only been 7 new federal arrests as of July 22nd. Influencers and
What?
leaders around the country.
Dude, what is... What? Okay.
Federal arrests as of July 22nd.
Okay, there's only been 4 new federal arrests on July 22nd. Also, important to note, yesterday, the DOJ, or a federal judge, struck down Oregon's Attorney General went to court to claim that, to stop the arrest of Oregonians by the feds, and a federal court just denied that. So they're still going to be arresting people, and it's not like every other person, because every other person besides immigrants, which is what DHS is acting as everyone here is, their only legal backing is that they assume these people are either all fucking graffiti artists or they're violating immigration laws, because that's the only jurisdiction they have. So you cannot prove any of those, and once these people are arrested, they usually are found to have not violated any immigration laws.
July 4th. There's only been 7 new federal arrests as of July 22nd.
So I'm sure the ones up until July 4th have been also sources, please, because this could be from anything. This could just be like someone was homeless sleeping outside of the courthouse. You could be arrested for that, and that would be a federal arrest. Or probably the initial graffiti artists or the people graffitiing the courthouse were probably detained. The influx and the surge of new DHS and unidentifiable troops to Portland is not because of graffiti. That is a lie. That's just they're trying to justify it. Why do I keep making it small screen?
Influencers and leaders around the country are intentionally using extremely harmful and divisive rhetoric because they want to instill fear in people.
Example, sources.
Things like, the federal agents are kidnapping people.
The federal agents are kidnapping people. That's what they're doing.
In unmarked vehicles. They're just...
That's exactly what they're doing. They're not following procedures, e.g. reading them their Miranda rights, or disclosing who they are, or telling the people being kidnapped why they're being arrested. That's in direct violation of the Fourth Amendment right. Of course, there's loopholes to this that they're exploiting on the basis of immigration violations and federal and like damage to federal property.
Disappearing.
And not every single person who's at a protest. It's not like they all line up with the can of paint and like, all right, we're all gonna... Yeah, the federal crimes he thinks that they have committed is literally just spray painting a building. That's why they were sent, or that's the reason they were sent. No, he's so... Also, not a single source. Federal arrests happen for a number of reasons. What defines a federal crime? Yeah.
And going into some cage somewhere.
There's so many reasons to arrest people for federal crimes. Any violation of a federal crime will get you a federal arrest. That statistic is pointless and doesn't, even if it was just, it doesn't prove their point. It disproves their point. If there's only been 7 since what do you say, July 22nd, that shows that they have not been doing a good job of actually arresting the fucking anarchist graffiti artists that he's so worried about. What it does show is that, but what you will find is that there was a lot more than 7 people just picked up by fucking officers who weren't arrested. So they're not doing their job. They're just there to scare people, to scare protesters.
Kidnapping people in unmarked vehicles. They're just disappearing and going into some cage
They
somewhere.
are. That's literally what's happening. That's literally what's
They say
happening.
things like the Gestapo, the secret police.
Yeah, this is how the fucking Gestapo started. I mean, the Gestapo obviously was like, they would just walk up to your house and like rip you from your family, but like, does ICE not do the same thing? Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's fucking right, you know? Like, people would defend the Gestapo and be like, oh, well, yeah, it's fine, because, like, you know, Jews, like, they shouldn't be here, like, it's illegal to be Jewish in fucking Germany, like, they're just doing their job, they're just making sure we're safe. Like, if you look at ICE walking into fucking ICE raids, have you seen a video of an ICE raid? Jesus Christ, they're terrifying. Just walk into a house, rip the family apart, and deport them, and arrest them, just for being immigrants. Same shit, bro. You just refuse to see it because you can't look past your ultra nationalistic views.
Trump's troops, because they want people somewhere. They say things like the Gestapo, the secret police, Trump's troops, because they want people to be scared. The more
Yeah, because people should be scared, yo.
scared people are, the more harshly they will react to this situation. The more harshly they react, the better the turnout will be in the 2020 election for those leaders and influencers.
Okay, this is literally what the manual, the military's guide to dealing with civil unrest and insurgencies. This is not an insurgency, but they will define it as one in the military's book. That overstep like this and the implementation of government troops where they're not needed will tend to gain support for the movement that they're trying to quell. It's directly it does not serve the point that this is the government's fault. It's not the fault of the media and people pointing out exactly what it is, how this is falling into authoritarianism, but it's the fault of the fucking authoritarian for doing it. You can't blame us for just pointing out what's happening. You can't blame us for seeing people being grabbed by two men fully in camo and then being thrown. Like, has he not seen that video? We've all seen the video, right? Of the first guy in Portland who was just dragged into a van and the people are screaming like, what did he do? Like, identify yourselves. Who are you? Say your names. And they just walk straight ahead and they don't acknowledge them, and they just pull this guy into an unmarked van. Like, genuinely, let me find this video. Have you guys seen the video? God damn it, there's so many videos from Portland. I can't even find it. That was from a while ago. Man, where'd it go? It's like mad famous, this video. Anyways. Yeah, you're right. The whole thing is just his opinion.
They don't care about you, they care about your votes. There's
The votes to stop an authoritarian.
only one thing they want you to do. They want you to stay riled up, and that's it. This will end up the same way it did in 2015 and 16. As soon as the
This
election
fucking trend. Like the idea that support for Black Lives Matter goes up every election year. Bullshit. This was an election year. 2018 was an election year. People forget that. Maybe we should just not have so many black people getting killed by police. I don't know.
election's over, everybody will forget about this. The same thing happened last election cycle.
That's not true.
These leftists act as if they are purely inquisitive, as if they just have questions that they want answered. They want to know what's going on inside conservatives' head. This is not true.
Dude, I would love to know what's going on inside your head.
They don't want their questions answered. They want to act as if their questions cannot be answered. If they wanted their questions answered, They would probably tune into things like White House press briefs. Just a few days ago, when there was a White House press brief, Kayleigh McEnany pretty much answered any question you could have possibly had revolving
that's
around Portland.
the biggest
And when
lie
Kayleigh-
ever. She dodges questions like it's her job, because it is her job to dodge questions. Fucking Kayleigh, she literally yesterday claimed that Paw Patrol got canceled, which never happened. Paw Patrol, like the TV show about like a dog who's a cop or whatever, claimed that like they had to go out and make a statement being like, no, we did not get canceled. The
Please
White
ask
House lies.
questions, and she answers them very well.
No, she does
gets
not.
This.
Or even some of your colleagues. Yes. Thank you, Kayleigh, for going
The press
What?
secretary. of
What
the
just happened?
United
What was that
States
video?
Called a bitch, a lying bitch, at a White House press brief.
Because she is a lying bitch. You know who else was called a bitch? AOC by a congressman. Like, shut up.
Are you kidding me?
Why are you so mad about this, but not about AOC? He better be like, and also Ted Yoho, fuck that guy, for calling AOC a fucking bitch. Yeah, I better see it. Keep up the same energy, dog.
But getting back to what's happening on the ground in Portland. This is how people are treating federal officers of the United States law. I'm going to list
Yeah, he's definitely not using his mic because it's been bumping around the entire time, and we would have heard that.
to you some things that are being thrown at officers and things that are being used as weapons against
All right.
these officers.
Anecdotals.
People are throwing rocks, bricks, concrete, feces, human poop,
Good.
probably the only thing they can find on their streets, glass bottles,
good one,
batteries,
bruh.
pig's feet. For
Damn.
weapons, they're using air rifles, boards filled with nails, blinding laser pointers, slingshots, strobe lights, fireworks, and air rifles.
Yo, guys, no one tell him what the fucking troops are using. He might be mad. He might be mad to know that what the people who have riot shields and are behind gates and who have fucking bulletproof vests on are what weapons they are using. Did they fracture a guy's skull?
All right, let's get into Chicago and the failure of a mayor that is Lori Lightfoot.
Oh my god.
Before we get into this, I just want to let you know that there was more Americans killed on the streets of Chicago last
You
year
don't care about that. Stop talking about that like you
than
care.
there was in Iraq and Afghanistan. According to the Chicago Tribune,
Dude, source, please?
there was 373 people killed in Chicago this year. That is 98 more than 2019.
This is so
Over
sad.
the 4th of July weekend, there was 89 people
Like, he stouts these statistics like they care. If you care about this, then say Black Lives Matter.
7 were small children that later died.
Alright, I cannot listen to this motherfucker. He's so dumb. He's so dumb. Let me summarize everything I got from this. He cited two things that claim the DOJ is acting constitutionally. That was all. This is disputed by a plethora of lawyers who are currently suing the DOJ and Donald Trump's administration. He then later talks about how troops... sorry, he doesn't call them troops because to him these are not troops. He says that the left is blowing it out of proportion just so they can get revoted. Dude, it wasn't the left who decided to send these motherfuckers. That was not our idea. Like they take these actions and then freak out when we react appropriately. And finally, my closing thoughts. You're a conservative, dog. What's don't tread on me, states' rights? You know? They say this and they don't fucking believe it. Because if they believed it, they'd be shitting their pants right now. They'd be freaking the fuck out if the government, because the government is deploying federal agents to detain and fucking kidnap protesters without probable cause. This would be this biggest... If Obama did anything close to this, oh my god, he would be lynched on the fucking White House steps if Obama did this. I'm not even kidding. You are a liar. Straight up. You said close to zero things that were factual, and anything you did say that was factual was 100% irrelevant to any conversation. I would love to see a single source to back up any of your claims. I'm gonna keep you paused on this image specifically because you look dumb as fuck. I want everyone watching on TikTok to make this like ratio a little worse. Leave fairy comments. They're fun. The comments are sad. Like, please give this motherfucker shit. I have no I respect all people, but I do not respect people who lie for no reason other than political gain. It's so easy to do a little research. It must be so hard to do research as a conservative. You know how much like factual evidence you need to ignore to get to your points as a conservative? God, that must be exhausting. Right now I'm gonna link another YouTube video that I think you guys should really watch if you want a real lawyer's opinion. He is unbiased. He's an actual lawyer. So watch this if you want to know the truth around Portland, because this right here, this ain't it. This ain't it, man.